It's been a long time. So the truck and engine are still gone. I'm gonna kind of update you on everything that's going on around the shop. As you can see, I've gotten some shelving in. Did a little organizing in the garage. And over here, I have still been screwing around with these wastegates. I'll tell you a little bit about that down here. I'm getting some parts in. Nice little box. Jugs. So let's start with an update on the wastegates here. What has been going on with these? Why are these things still apart? So, update on the wastegates. I got a new one from Varin. It was a little worse off than the one I had before. So the first thing I did when I got the wastegate, I didn't take it apart or anything. I checked it. It leaked. It leaked in a different way. It was leaking through this. This is the base that the diaphragm sits on, and air was leaking out here. So I will show you. I've got this entire wastegate completely disassembled. Spoiler alert, I had to get an O-ring. So when I got the wastegate in, these are the O-rings that came with it. So there are 3 screws that hold this base onto the wastegate body. They all have O-rings. These are the O-rings. Well, at least, yeah, here we go. These are the 3 O-rings that came with it. Completely boogered up. No big deal. So I assumed that there was a little bit of leakage of air through these holes. Fine. Those are no big deal to find. As you can see, I got standard parts store. These are the Buna O-rings. Also went to the Harbor Freight. I got me some chemical and temperature stuff. So the reason I ended up getting all of those O-rings was for this guy. This guy here uses some kind of special Chinese or special custom size O-ring. So the original, these are all silicone O-rings. So the original O-ring, you might be able to see it, you might not. That was on that shaft, which is the valve guide for the wastegate. It was kind of chowdered up right there. So I went on the hunt for an O-ring. Long story short, this is what you need if you need a part number or anything like that. This O-ring is replacing this O-ring. That's the long story, made very short. It's been about 2 months that I've actually found what that O-ring is. Nobody around here really knows what's going on as far as trying to get custom O-rings and stuff. I do have an O-ring, local O-ring, I say it's an O-ring store, it's a gasket supply place that has a lot of O-rings, and they've really been able to hook me up with a lot of parts so far. So we've got the O-rings done now. I will set this down and I'm going to show you. This will be, so I've got an O-ring in here now. I'll go ahead and take this guy apart and show you the O-ring that fits in here. This I actually got from the parts store, the O-ring supply store. This is a Viton O-ring here. This fits just perfect down in this hole, and what this will be doing is just keeping a seal between these surfaces right here. because this little molded in deal just isn't that great. So the everything's going to be going together now. Actually, I'm going to check to see if one of these silicone pieces will fit, just to see, just to take a little look. Yeah. So that O-ring would fit in there. The thing is, I don't know if it'll, let's see what you're seeing. I don't know if this will be raised up enough. It may not be thick enough. That's fine. I've got a Viton. This is plenty durable for what I'm trying to do with these wastegates. More update. It's a long-winded way of saying this is what I'm putting the wastegates back together with for the 3 small O-rings and the one that goes on the valve stem guide. This guy, this O-ring. So these will be back together. I've got one over here. This is the guy that's been working. This has been my whole test bench. It's getting cluttered. I've got to start getting rid of stuff. So I've been bench testing the Holley unit, and I ended up getting a replacement Holley unit. So I sent the sniper back because in bench testing, I came out here on a day when it was about 50 degrees. The air temperature was reading 10 and coolant was reading 70. So I did a quick little test. In the test, you'll see the water temperature is the line that rapidly increases and the air temperature is very, very slow. What I did for this test, put a water temperature sensor in the port that has the air temperature sensor, and I ran a hairdryer through it. Anyways, long story short, Holley, I sent them the data log and they said clearly this is a defective air temperature sensor, send us this unit back. Got a new one. First thing I did the startup wizard and went straight for a data log, and it did the same thing. The only difference being the air temperature sensor was actually current ambient temperature. So I've done some searching around online, and there's been a few folks that have run this the 1200 whatever 8 injector sniper unit. There's a few folks that have run that for a year or so, and they all say that the air temperature sensor is not very quick to respond. And you'll see why. I'll go ahead and show it to you. Well, you'll see why in the photos, but I'll give you a little shot here. So the air temperature sensor is recessed. I'll try to keep this thing closed up and clean. The air temperature sensor is recessed in the throttle board. If you didn't know where it was. It is also, that is where the air temperature sensor is. You can see the little nipple sticking out there. Anyway, so I looked around online. I found a couple guys who are prominent in racing, a lot better at this stuff than I am, and they say that the Holley sniper air temp sensor is just slow and basically gives you an average temperature. Because it's recessed up in the housing, I'm guessing what it's doing is you're getting a better temperature reading of just this aluminum in here. You're not necessarily getting the air that's being shoved down in there. So keep that in mind if you have if you're going to run this thing on ragged edge and you're expecting to have some safeties with your air temp sensor, I wouldn't rely on it. I'm actually going to get a dual air temp sensor gauge that I'm going to put before and after my intercooler, also to see the efficiency of the Treadstone intercooler. But we'll get a better idea of what our actual air temp is. And then for fun, I may put a port in my intake manifold to see if I can, I'll obviously shield the sensor because I've also seen about interference. But anyway, I'll check and see how much heat is getting pulled out, because this is essentially going to be like a blow-through carburetor, right? As far as the physics of the air and the fuel mixing high up in the intake manifold. It's going to be a wet manifold design, what you call a wet manifold. Anyway, so that's kind of where we are now. I'm going to get the wastegate back together here. And like I said, I've done some testing as far as PID testing, not PID testing. I haven't tuned the PID on the boost control software. I've just used the boost controller to verify that it's gonna move the wastegate up and down. Right now I've got all my wiring super rigged together, so I will put a video up. I will do a video of that boost controller testing after I get some transducers in. So some parts that are coming in, I have some Honeywell pressure transducers for both. I think I got both absolute and gauge pressure, and I know I definitely got some gauge pressure transducers from eBay. I like the thought of using a Honeywell. They're industrial, and they advertise to be 1/4% accurate, and all their information is published on their website as far as the voltage and pressure that you should see and all that stuff. I got a couple of eBay units because truthfully, because the Honeywells don't come with a pigtail, and it's I can get a couple of eBay transducers with pigtails for a little less than $20 a piece, and I get a pigtail and a backup transducer just in case one of the Honeywells fails. That's a lazy way of doing it. I should, get into the wiring and everything, but you got to buy a special crimper that I don't have, and then I got to find all the little connectors. It's just too much for what I'm doing. I'm not getting into wiring this stuff. Even though I've got a ton of wiring equipment, I am not good at it, and I don't like it. I intend to spend an entire year having the truck rewired at some point in the future. All that being said, I am going to be redoing a bit of the wiring, and I plan on using these guys for it, these little terminal blocks, and I'm planning on taking some suggestions of some pretty well-known tuners and race car builders and stuff, and rewiring the car on their principles now. I'm not stripping all the wiring out of the truck. I'm just going to create independent circuits for all this stuff, and get any of those little three-way splices and get that stuff out. And I'm gonna take all my grounds to an actual ground. I'm not grounding to my fans to my radiator support anymore. I'm gonna run them to an actual ground now. So hopefully this will alleviate some of the stress off my alternator, and free up some power for ignition, and make the engine run cleaner, all that stuff that goes along with good power on grounds. There are plenty of webinars on that. I don't know what I'm doing with it. I will try to show a little bit of it as I do it once the truck gets back. But I'm not going to give instructional on how to do that. I'm not giving instructional on any of this stuff. This is more just a documentary for myself because I've never actually documented what we're doing in this truck. Other things that we got going on. Oh, I never mentioned that. I just took pictures of it. We're updating the motor a little bit. Putting some Callie's cranking rods in there. And I've got a set of pistons on the way. They should be here this week. I'm getting Diamond to do me a semi-custom piston, so I'm going to be putting about 2 points of compression in the motor, and we're stroking it from a 350 to a 383. So hopefully that'll give a little bit more drive pressure to the turbos. I've spoken with John Bewley. I'm going to be getting a custom cam from him, and this motor is going to be completely different now. So on motor, we should be going from making about 300 to about 500 horsepower, I would guess, on motor. My heads are still kind of questionable as to whether they're a great head. I would guess they're okay or good if you had to rank them for a 23 degree small block Chevy head. But yeah, that's where we are now. So catch you guys later. If y'all want to see anything in particular about this build, let me know. I'm just trying to document what I'm doing and show you guys if y'all are doing anything similar, using any similar parts. Some of the stuff I banged my head against the wall dealing with. Oh, here's something I banged my head against the wall with. So the Holley Sniper, I called myself being proactive, right? I was going to take out the throttle blade screws and just Loctite them in there. Oh, look at there, we got a different one. So it turns out, I'm gonna shine and zoom in down here. So what Holley does, apparently, come on, focus. Focus, please. Apparently what Holley does is they run these screws in there and they press them so they mushroom out on this side. So what had happened was I was backing one of the screws out and it breaks loose normal, you know, and you start backing it out and it gets tight, and then it got easy again. I was like, okay, it was just going through a weird spot. No, I twisted it in half. So I had to drill and file out one of the screws, go to the Lowe's and pick me up some brass 8x32 machine screws, and of course they only come in 1/2 inch. These things are 1/4 inch or less. Have to file the thing down. Basically I use the little what's that guy called? Vice grips. Held the screw with some vice grips, used a hacksaw, and then filed it to get it nice and clean. That's why my baby files are out here. The hazard fraud baby file set. I need to put that up. Part of cleaning up all this mess. So yeah, if you're wanting to do that, just know that Holley has got you covered. They mushroom those things out so that they're not going to come out on their own. And then I've got to get my tools organized. I've got 2 big toolboxes over there, but I got crap everywhere. I've got bins. I've got these things. I want to get rid of this. I don't know. Get rid of that, or at least the tools that are there. I want to keep that so that, you know, something like drag week, I can throw some tools in it. I really would like to use just this for drag week, but I don't know about this guy right here. I'm contemplating potentially not using a trailer this time. and I've got a little one of those cheap extruded metal trays that you put in a car hitch. So I've got one of those, and I'm contemplating using that instead of a trailer. We'll just see how that goes. And then I got to get the old Durango back there inspected. Not inspected. I've got to inspect it. I got to go through that thing and make sure it's actually going to make the haul all the way to Colorado, towing the big 20-foot trailer. Anyway, we'll see how all that goes. Anyway, a lot of parts coming in this week. I should be getting in. I'm getting some Kydex in. I'm going to remake this guy out of some Kydex, and hopefully my gauge panel on the truck out of some Kydex. I got all those transducers coming in, and then some other odd and end things. Nothing spectacular going on. All that we've got over here, got the Hyperspark system that's just plug and play with the Sniper. Got a dipstick. Truck hasn't had a dipstick before, not with the dart block. What have we got? Got ourselves an engine diaper. What is this? Oh, this is my transmission catch can. I'm just trying to keep fluids off of the track, and then the Sniper ignition coil. And then I got these guys. So the Sniper uses a -6 ORB inlet, and all my lines going up there to it are -8. So I'd rather just have the fuel there. I don't know if it necks down, if it makes a difference. I guess it makes sense, but there's not going to be a restriction until it gets to the throttle body itself. So I want all the fuel. And then I don't have time now to run flex fuel, so I won't be getting the flex fuel sensor and the analog converter and all that stuff before race week. I've just got too many things that I need to get done. That's not going to happen now. So since that's going to free up a sensor input, what I'm going to do is, with one of those 0 to 100 pressure transducers that I ordered, I'm going to put it on. I'm going to monitor my fuel pressure with it. So I will have another one of these guys, I guess, and I can go into the Holley and tell it I have a fuel pressure sensor, and you can set up some safeties there. So if hopefully if fuel pressures are dropping off or something, it'll trigger some safeties. I think the only thing that the Sniper lets you do is cut timing. It'll let you retard timing or cut ignition. Pretty much all the safeties I'm going to try to set up as an ignition retard, but I hope I don't have too many safeties that I end up with firing after top dead center. I don't think that it's going to work like that. It's not like coil on plug with all that stuff that they got going on. So anyways, I'll let you guys later. Thanks.